Well, first off, I want to apologize for the last Wednesday. As you can see, I look tired now, but we're gonna get this shit done, man. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Please introduce yourself to my viewers and let them know what you do and who are you. Please.
Absolutely. My name is Patrick Hickey Jr., and I am the author of the Minds Behind the Games book series. I'm also a full-time college professor and a voice actor in the video game industry, and a huge fan of professional wrestling. I've covered the professional wrestling industry for about 15 years. I've interviewed everyone from Diamond Dallas Page, Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Paul Heyman, Chavo Guerrero, Low Key. I mean, tons of guys. So.
Okay.
Um, I've also interviewed a ton of pro wrestling video game developers too. So
Okay. All right. Well, you said you if you don't mind me asking a couple questions,
sure.
um, you said you've been in the game for almost 30 years. What caught your eye, man? What introduced you? You know?
Um, Ever since I was a little kid, I was kind of in love with the spectacle of professional wrestling. Um, I remember sitting on my grandfather's lap, and I forgot who was wrestling, but he was just like, "This guy's a punk," and
Hmm.
I'm like, "What?" He's like, "The next guy that comes out, that's what a real man looks like. That's the way a real man handles his business." And I'll never forget the guy that came out.
Who was the guy?
It was
Ooh,
Ric Flair.
ooh, the Nature Boy. Woo.
And he came out and he was strutting, and I'm just like,
Okay.
yo, he looks like an old man. Like, and but then I saw him start chopping people, and
Hmm.
I'm like, man. And then I just got hooked from there. And Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man, Diamond Dallas Page, just I became a lifelong fan. And it's funny because we grew up at a great time. I'm guessing you're around the same age as me, like your mid to late 30s,
Yes, yes, I am.
and it's like video games and pro wrestling were just doing this. They were both growing at the same time. And the cross section in like the late 90s, I mean, the late 90s to me is when pro wrestling was at its best.
Great time. Great time.
And
Great
for me,
time.
that's when pro wrestling video games were at their best too. The stuff that came out on the Nintendo 64, all those Aki wrestling games, WCW, NWO Revenge, WrestleMania 2000,
All of them, man. Yes,
No
yes,
Mercy, Def Jam Vendetta.
yes, yes.
I mean, those were the greatest wrestling games of all time. So it's just we grew up at a great time, and it was just so easy to get latched on to the personalities, the people.
Hmm.
Just a great time.
All right. Well, you said you also do voiceovers. Have you done any voiceovers for them such games or any games that we know of, we should know of?
Absolutely. There's a game that came out last year on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Steam called The Padre. And it's basically about a Catholic priest that gets stuck in a mansion that has like zombies and monsters and stuff like that. And I play the voice of the main character. I play Alexander the Padre. And the sequel is currently in development. The sequel is going to be coming out sometime next year. Um, so I voiced the main character in the sequel as well. So that's pretty awesome. I'm
That's
also doing a lot of voiceover for games that I can't announce yet because of non-disclosure agreements. But 2011, I'm going to be in about 4 games, writing and doing voiceover. So it's going to be really crazy. Yeah.
that's dope. That's definitely dope. That's definitely dope. You also said you was a author. So, what books? Let's talk about your book, man. What's, let us know, man. Talk like the name of your book, how many chapters. You feel me?
Sure, sure. So I have 3 books currently out. The fourth book is coming out at the end of the year, and the fifth and sixth are
Wait,
currently
wait,
being finished.
wait.
The na
You
the
have books.
huh?
You have 4 books.
Yeah,
Okay, and
yeah,
your
yeah.
books. Okay, this is good. Go ahead, man.
So the name of the book series is The Minds Behind the Games. So basically, what I do is Mortal Kombat, for instance. Millions of people have played it, millions of people have loved it. So what I do is I find the people that made Mortal Kombat, and I get them to talk to me about how the game was created,
Hmm.
um, what the development cycle was like, secrets that not a lot of people know, and that's basically like how each chapter works. Each chapter is dedicated to a specific game. The first book is the minds behind the games, and that's like a little bit of everything. That's from like the Atari to the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
The second book is the minds behind the adventure games. So that's like Pitfall, Maximum Carnage, the original Grand Theft Auto, all
yeah,
sorts of crazy adventure games. The third book is the minds behind the sports games, which is the original Madden, the original FIFA, NHL. I've got four different wrestling games in there. That's a ton of fun. The fourth book that's coming out in December is the minds behind the shooter games. So that's like Wolfenstein, Halo,
it's
Metroid.
trilogy. It's like us. Okay, okay. Can you let the people out there know the dirty hairless? Sorry to cut you off. Can you let them know where we can get
Okay.
that or where we
Yeah.
can book, man?
Yeah, sure. If the books are available wherever fine books are sold online, so like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, Books a Million, Indigo. But if you order through me at patrickhickeyjr.com/books, I'll put the link in here so if people want to see it. And what'll happen is if you order directly through this link, um, I will sign your book and put all sorts of cool stuff in there. So like perfect example is the newest book is The Minds Behind the Sports Games.
Mm,
So if you order that book from me and you're like you're from New York City, so you're either like a Mets fan, Yankees fan,
yeah.
Knicks fan, whatever. Um, I'm gonna get an email from you when you buy the book, and I'm gonna message you and I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what's up, man? We're gonna bullshit. We're gonna, talk,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna find out what you're into, and then I'm gonna sneak in some really cool stuff. So like I've put in like John Elway cards and people that have bought the book from like Denver,
Okay.
and somebody bought the book from Oakland, and I put a ton of old Raiders cards in there for them, like Ronnie Lott and stuff. So
Stuff like that. That's dope.
yeah,
That's real dope, man. I like
so. Because I want to have a relationship with my readers. I've been to so many book signings over the years that were just like, or like if you meet a wrestler for the first time,
yeah.
it could just be like, "Hey, how you doing?" You pay them, you get the autograph, and then that's it. But the
Mm,
ones that you really remember are the ones that gave you a hug, the ones that asked you
that's
questions.
yeah.
So, especially with COVID now, you can't do events like that. So the least I could do is sign your book, say something really cool in your book, and then put something in there that you might remember for the rest of your life. So,
Dope, man. That's really dope. Let me ask you a question. Have you made it yet to the best author seller list yet?
so on Amazon, on their digital list at one point, I was at number 7. So that was awesome
Okay.
for the first book. Right now, the book is in over 100 libraries around the world, including Harvard. So Harvard, Stanford, University of Pennsylvania. So like four out of like
Yeah.
four Ivy League schools. I'm in 6 of the top 10 universities in the United States. I'm in China. I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'm in Australia. I'm in Canada. So like the book is all over the world. So
That's tremendous. That's really tremendous. Can you speak half of these languages? Do you know any of these languages, man?
I barely know English. So I mean, I'm a Brooklyn boy, born and raised. I went to William E. Grady High School, you
Okay.
know. So, man, like I grew up in Bensonhurst where all the mafia movies take place and stuff. Just an Irish kid that could shoot three-pointers, trying to find my way through
Okay.
life, you know.
Yeah.
So,
You seem pretty content. You feel me? With like even though you just gave up a rough neighborhood and a rough school, you seem like
you hear the police sirens right now?
yeah. I can hear it now. I can definitely hear it now. And
Oh.
seems like you made real good with yourself, and you did real good. Do you ever go back to your high school and do seminars there or say
Oh
hi?
yeah. So it's made funny because like, me and you we run in like the same circles and stuff with like professional wrestling. Like Joe Kim Morales is
Yeah.
he's the boss of Battle Club Pro, and we went to high school together.
Uh,
And so it's like him and I are very like keen on making sure that we don't forget about where we're from. So we always help each other out and stuff. And like right after the first book came out in April of 2018. So probably like 4 months later, I got invited back to my high school, and they bought a whole bunch of copies of the book, and I went there and I spoke all day and stuff. So that was tight. That was awesome. That
that's
was a
dope.
feeling, man. Because that library, man, I used to sit in the back with all them old crusty ass Pro Wrestling Illustrateds
Right,
and
right.
steal the posters to bring home to put up in my room. And now my book is in there, you know, so it was a good feeling.
That's great, man. I'm not going to lie, just to feel like that you actually have something behind. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure.
where it's a great deal, man. And truth be told, I respect you, and I
Thank
like
you.
definitely like that, man. Um, now, can you let the people? I'm sorry, man. I'm rambling right now. Excuse me, man.
It's all good.
It's all, yes. Excuse me, bro. I'm also trying to roll a blunt here, also. So you know what I mean? I just got in, man. Okay. You said, have you ever been to any wrestling events like independent? Uh,
Tons.
tons. Okay.
Tons.
What are the
Um,
what are the
so
independent?
like tier one, Warriors of Wrestling. I mean, I've covered like probably like the last 4 years of Battle Club Pro.
Yeah.
Um, I was an editor at NBC for 2.5 years, so like I used to cover a lot of WWE events. So like I remember I covered the SummerSlam that Daniel Bryan won the belt, and then Randy Orton cashed in on him because Triple H like hit him with the chair. So like I was in the luxury box sitting next to what's his face, Wade Barrett when that happened. So
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so yeah, I was next to Wade Barrett, and like right above me was Jerry Lawler and his girlfriend. So it was like
So
that was a pretty cool moment.
what can me and my partner do to get like you, man? What can we do to get like you? Are we on the right path? Are we, are we gonna get there anytime soon?
You got to just keep hustling, man. It's just like I tell people this all the time. Like I write every single day. Like before this, before I was on the show, I put my daughter and my son to bed. My wife's chilling right now, and I'm gonna be up until 1 o'clock in the morning, writing, editing, running my site, doing my thing. AEW is on right now. I got to catch up on the DVR once we're done, you know. So NXT is on. So it never ends. I go to bed every night tired. I wake up tired. I'm a college professor full time, so it's like tomorrow I wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning
Where do you teach at? Is
at Kingsborough Community College.
like
I'm a journalism professor. I've been there for about 15 years. I'm the assistant director of the journalism program there. I actually went there too, so that's hot. Like the school I went to, like so it's good. It's good. You
that's
just gotta keep hustling. That's every day, you know. Joe Kim messes around with me all the time. He calls me Mega Hustle because I'm always up to something, you know, but like in a good way. That's
yeah.
you, you just got to keep moving. Even if it's like sometimes like if you're having a really bad day, if you just separate yourself from all the drama and you just do one little thing that's positive for you,
Mm-hmm.
that's your takeaway for the whole day. So all the nonsense, all the crazy shit, that doesn't mean anything. Just that one positive thing that got you a little bit closer to where you want to be, that's the most important thing of the day, you know? So that's why I try and tell people all the time. It's like it's hard sometimes. I mean, like I'll give you an example. Today, my wife went to go get her nails done. She needed some me time, so I did the laundry. I helped take care of my kids the whole day. I taught. I did what I had to do. And now the podcast, this is my step in the right direction. And I'm going to be writing a little bit. And at the end of the day, 2 or 3 hours of hard work makes up for like 20 hours of all the other stuff that you had to do that was important, you know, like taking care of your family and doing the right thing. So you just got to do it every single day. When everybody else is sleeping, that's when you hustle a little bit more, you know? So
You know what's crazy? I feel like me and you have the same mentality when it comes down to that, because that's what I do. I'm right now as we speak. I'm sending out, episodes of the new shit that we dropped yesterday.
hmm
Shout out.
Yeah,
I understand, man. I
and it
go,
never stops. It never stops, man. You know?
our 1 year anniversary is next month, and it's like, yo, we came a long way, and I still feel like we're not done. So,
hmm
I feel you, man.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time because like I've been doing this for 15 years, and sometimes people be like, especially with the books, because the books have been coming out for like the past 2.5 years, and the voice acting has really only been for like 2 years, and they're just like, "Oh, you're so lucky. This
Mhm.
just happened all of a sudden." And I'm like, "You haven't been there since day one. You know, this just didn't happen. You know, nothing just happens by itself. You know, it's like Jordan was shooting 10,000 shots a day, you
Facts.
know, and nobody saw that, you know. So that's the thing. When you're good at something, two things are gonna happen. When you're really good at something, you're gonna make it look easy, and
Hmm.
then you're gonna have haters.
Don't we
That's
know?
how that's how you know you're doing it good. When people are like, yo, man, how the fuck did you do that? Or yo, how could I do that? Then you're like, I'm doing the right thing. And then when it's like people are like, oh, well, how'd you get to do that? Why do you get to do that? Why can't I do that? Then you're like, I'm doing it. I'm doing what I got to do. So
Yo, that's crazy. That's how I feel about you. I'm looking at your page. I'm looking at you. I'm like, he wants to hang with us. Like, oh, he wants to. But you know, I feel like you see something in us. So I appreciate that, and we won't forget that. We definitely won't.
see, this is the thing about successful people, like
Yeah,
really successful people. They understand that people come from all different walks of life,
facts.
but they also understand that like success doesn't have a face.
That's beautiful.
Success does not have a face. Success is not relegated to a race, to a sexuality, to a sexual preference, to a religion. Real people understand that regardless of what somebody looks like, where they come from, that if they're doing something good and you see that they have a following, that's what I saw. I saw your page and I know you know Joe, so I'm just like
Yeah,
synergy,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know? I promote you, you promote me, we both grow together. I would much rather be on a podcast with a couple of thousand followers than somebody with 100,000, because the person with 100,000 don't have to promote themselves anymore.
Type shit. I'm
And
not
I'm,
mad at you. I'm not even mad at you. That's
you
the
know, so, but yeah, and it's like, I told you, like Joe and I, we went to Grady,
yeah,
so it's like, you want to talk about like difference, like I grew up in Bensonhurst, so like I was one of the only Irish kids, but like we're talking like
yeah.
mostly white, Asian, some Hispanic and stuff like that. When I went to Grady, I was the minority, and if I couldn't shoot three pointers,
Yo.
and if I wasn't funny, I would have had a hard time,
I hear the sirens again, man. I hear the sirens in my head again.
But like after like a couple of months, I was completely like integrated and accepted in Grady, and I loved it there, So, and I was like the exotic fruit, which was good. I had long blonde hair, blue eyes, so I did good with the ladies. So all was good. But see, that's the thing. Everyone, you look at somebody, and as soon as you look at somebody, I'm not saying you, I'm saying the average person. They'll look at somebody and they cast type them right away. Like, oh, this person, I bet that, and they've never heard them speak before. I bet their voice sounds like this. I bet they're this type of person. Or they'll read their LinkedIn page and see their photo, and they're like, oh, that person looks like a dick,
You
and they'll just attach this whole personality to
really
them.
know. You don't really know.
Hmm.
And it's crazy because wrestling brings everybody together
Absolutely. And see, that's the best thing about wrestling, because how many times has somebody come out for the first time that you were like, who the fuck is this?
all the time.
And then they do something, and you're like, yo. So it's like I remember I was watching AEW Dark a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
and Will Hobbs comes out, and like I've seen him wrestle before, so I know what to expect. I mean,
Yeah.
he's good, you know. But one of my friends is talking to me on Facebook, and he's like, "Yo, who the fuck is Will Hobbs? Yo, he looks like some bootleg, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Just shh, 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 shh.
On
Just
those,
watch."
yeah.
After a power slam, he's like, "Yo, this guy is a beast." I'm like, "See what happens when you don't judge somebody?"
Yeah.
You know? So it's like I remember the first time I saw Great Muda and he came out with the paint on. I'm like, who the fuck is this clown? With the paint on and stuff. And then after like 5 minutes, I was mystified. I was like, this
I
guy is amazing. So
That's how it be sometimes. That's definitely how.
so
You never know. You definitely know.
hmm
Don't know. For the people out there that's watching, we have my man Patrick Hickey, Jr. He's an author. He's a writer. He's a voice over editor, whatever you want to call it. The man is a jack of all trades. And right now, we're just discussing his life, how he does it out here, and I'm happy to have him on our show. You feel me? Thank you, man. It's
nah,
awesome.
no problem.
Definitely awesome, man. So again, man, you said you've been to India events. What else India events you've been to, man? Have you been to a house? A house?
It was a promotion that we invested a lot in because like I run a site too. I own
Yeah,
and run a site, reviewfix.com. And when I first started the site, I used to go to a lot of events, but then when the site started to get big, I started hiring writers, and I would send writers to go cover events and stuff like that. So like I think when we were talking, I told you about Marquis.
Yeah,
Um, and
prolific. Our guys, yes.
I love him. He's so
Yeah.
good. But the thing is, the way he got into professional wrestling was he went with one of my writers to a Warriors of Wrestling show,
Wow.
and he was like, "Yo, I could do this." And the next thing you know, so it's like every time I see him in the ring, like he reminds me of Kenny King. He's so good.
Yeah,
He's super charismatic. He's got like great legs. Like his
yeah.
kicks are super solid. He's super talented. But I'm like in a weird way, I helped get him into the industry.
He,
Um,
he's good, man. I'm
he's
not.
very good.
We have belts, so we have these belts that we get made, and we give them out to wrestlers. So, I don't know if you heard of Dexter from Warriors of Wrestling.
Hmm.
Currently has our belt, one of our belts, and Blaze Haram. He has another belt. So we have a 365 belt, and we have a hardcore belt. So
Nice.
it's kind of good to have something out there, and we
Absolutely.
our guys out there. He's also training at the Warriors of Wrestling School. You
Hmm.
feel me? So, we trying to put our foot in there slowly and surely. We just recently commentated in podcast live from Atlantic City, and
That's awesome.
with Recombination Wrestling. So we JTG was out there, Darius Carter was out there,
I
Rufus,
love Darius.
yeah,
Darius is so talented.
all five of them, man, textbook,
It's
man.
like he's like Nick Bockwinkel reincarnated.
I agree. And
Every time I hear him speak, I'm just like, he could be a politician.
yeah, yeah.
He's so smooth.
Yo, I agree. The man is textbook, man. It's crazy to have a ringside. I
I
got how
I
much?
was I was there the night that he split open Pete Dunne, and at Battle Club Pro, I was sitting at the announce table when that happened. I'll
Uh,
never forget it. I was like, oh, like it just got real,
what
that
that footage? You can't find that footage.
because
You
the WWE was like,
that,
mm-mm.
you cannot find that footage.
Yep.
Speaking of Darius Carter, do you feel like that he's, and this is where my politics you talk about? Do you feel like he's blacklisted from from promotions at times? 'Cause
I don't know. I mean, I know they had that thing going on Twitter saying like, he took pictures and stuff like that. And see, this is the thing. Um, we talked about this before.
Mhm.
You're doing it wrong if you're not pissing people off.
Yeah, and that's what he does.
And he's great at it. And
Mhm.
the thing is, he's so good that sometimes you don't know what's kayfabe and what's not. And the
Mhm.
thing is, like, everyone is so triggered now on Twitter. Oh, Tessa Blanchard wins the title, and this person wins the title, and then all the dirt comes.
Yeah,
So it's like, why weren't you talking? Why weren't you saying all the stuff that they were saying before they became champion? Why did you wait?
that is
And I'm not saying that these things didn't happen, but I'm saying like if somebody like perfect example, like if you piss me off during the show, I'm gonna go on Twitter and Instagram right after and be like, "Yo, he's a chucklehead," but but you know what I'm saying? It's like, why would I wait
yeah.
years? So the thing with Darius is, like, I've spoken to people about that incident that was spoken about on Twitter, and they were like, yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. Da 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 da. Da. So it's like, I don't know if he's blacklisted. I hope he's not because I think he's super talented, and I think his window is now. I think the next like 2 or 3 years he needs to go
Also,
somewhere.
we tried to get him involved with the TNT Championship at one point. We tried to push that. We wanted that to go viral, and nobody saw it, man.
Yeah.
Man somewhere. I definitely need that man somewhere holding the title, man.
And the thing is, like, it worked for Evilise because not Evilise. Who's Evilise's tag team partner? My
Uh,
brain is scrambled right now.
Diamante.
Diamante. I love Diamante. She's
Yeah,
super underrated.
yeah.
Um, but she pushed herself hard on social media and she's like, "Yo, I need to get into AEW and blah blah blah." blah. And look at her now. So, I mean, Darius is gonna get a shot eventually. And like NXT just brought in a whole bunch of new people, and Joe Gacy was one of them. So I was like
Yeah.
super proud because that's an indie guy from the area and stuff. So, but
Hmm.
anyone that's seen Joe Gacy wrestle before knows that he's talented. But
Yeah.
Darius Carter versus Joe Gacy, I mean, I Darius Carter 10 out of 10 twice on Sunday.
Look,
So
yeah.
And anyone that says any different is crazy. And again, that's not taking anything away from Joe Gacy. I've
Yeah,
seen him in person wrestle before. I love his work. I love the evil side of him and stuff like that.
yeah.
But Darius is different,
Yes,
you
he is.
know?
Yes, he is.
So,
Yes, he means what he say, and that's a guy that's always in character. That's
mhm,
a guy that's always in character, and
mhm,
if we talk, I'd like to see more from him.
absolutely. You know?
Just like Brian Pillman Jr. That's our guy.
Oh, Brian Pillman Jr. is another guy. Well, they just won their first match
Yeah,
on Dark.
that man is.
Um,
I don't know, man. Listen, maybe I'm speaking too soon. I mean, maybe he doesn't need to be in a tag team. I don't know, man.
it's early. It's early. You know,
I
it's like
yeah,
Anthony Bowens was on Dark and he got squashed the other night, you know, but anyone that's seen him wrestle before knows he's a lot better than that, you
yeah.
know? Mr. Grimm, super talented indie guy. He's an AEW, you know, not
But
doing much.
I commend AEW on that because these indie guys, they giving them their shots, so I can't complain. A lot of these guys, just like you, I've seen them wrestle, and just
Hmm.
back to see them again. Sometimes get squashed. It's like, no, we need to see them more. But then I'd be like, you know what? It's good to see them on here. You understand
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So I'm just like you, brother. I'm definitely
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing like I remember when Joey Ace was in the inner circle for that episode of AEW,
yes.
and I love that guy. I've seen him. He's come to my classes
Mhm.
to discuss his career, to my journalism classes. Like I have a ton of love for his hard work and his work ethic and stuff like that. And it's just like we're gonna see more of all of those guys. We're gonna see them pop up in a whole bunch of places. And this is the thing right now. ROH is just getting like back in
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
And like this was a promotion that would have been giving a lot of these guys an opportunity. Um, so when we start to see more indie companies get back to work, I think a lot of these indie companies are going to step up their production value, and
yeah.
they're going to try a lot harder. And you're going to see a lot of these guys from the area, especially because the Northeast just has so many great talents.
It's like Mike Harvey. These guys are just awesome, man. And
Absolutely.
can't wait to see them. I'll give them a chance. Just like you said, it's still
Hmm.
early, man. It's
Yep.
definitely
And wrestling is weird like that. I mean, if the boogeyman could like become a star at 40, you know, and especially like somebody like, you know, we just mentioned Bowens. Bowens is in amazing shape.
is.
In 5, 6, 7 years, he's still going to be in amazing shape as long as he doesn't get hurt. So he can still have an opportunity, you know. So these guys just got to keep at it. It's like again, you just found out who the hell I was like, you know, 2 weeks ago, and I've been at this for 15 years. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, my books are selling well. I'm gonna be in 4 games next year. Like you Google my name and my picture comes up, like shit is going good. But at the same time, I feel like
I
I
was like,
need one.
he want to link with us, and I'm telling my
Of
man,
course.
oh, I'm like, yo, this guy is kind of legit, whatever, like that. Then I was like, yo, he probably sees something in us. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it, man. Let's do it. And I ain't gonna lie, brother, we appreciate you. We definitely,
You know what it is? It's like bottom line is like I write what I write for you
yeah,
guys. You know, for by you guys I mean like wrestling fans, the average Joe. Like I grew up like you know in a blue collar neighborhood, lower middle class, not even regular middle class, like
yeah.
lower middle class. You know, like I was eating Kraft macaroni and cheese. I was eating the Passmark brand, that chalky ass macaroni and cheese. You know, so it's like when I write the same exact way. Like I write for
Mhm.
the average person, and basically what I'm trying to do is connect you to video games in a way that you've never been connected before. It's like if you grew up playing all these old wrestling games, what I do is I interview the developers and I get them to explain why these games
Oh,
play the way that they do. So this way you could go back to like your Sega Genesis and be like, yo, that's why that plays the way that it does, you know? So and it's the same thing too when I interview wrestlers and stuff like that. I ask them questions that'll make us connect with them more. Not like, oh, you know, what's your workout regimen like? I go, what was the first match that you went like, holy shit? Like, what was the first match that
yeah,
made you want to do this?
yeah,
You know, stuff
yeah.
like that. You know, it's like I remember when I interviewed Dolph Ziggler. Um, I was like, what was the first wrestling game you ever played that you really liked? And he ended up telling me this stupid ass story. He was like, oh, you remember SmackDown on PlayStation? He goes, the creative character was like really shitty, and you could only like swap the body parts of the guys. And
As
he goes, I looked a lot like Billy Gunn, so I would just use Billy Gunn's head. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
that makes sense. He does look like Billy Gunn.
but that's what you want. You want to connect to these people in a way that, you want to see them as real people. That's one of the reasons why so many people like The Rock, because The Rock comes across like a regular person. So that's what I try and do in my books. I try and connect you to the people that make the video games that you love.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yo, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of glad this we did this, man. I'm kind of glad we waited. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
sure,
I
yeah,
feel like I know you, brother, and I feel like it's a relationship building between us and stuff like that. And I want to continue to do more with you, my guy. I definitely do want to continue to do more with you, man. Um,
absolutely.
of course, this episode. I'm sorry to cut it short because my phone was about to die. I did not
That's
know.
okay. It's all good.
This will be up on YouTube. This will be up on Apple. This will be up on IGTV. This will be up on Spotify and all of that, brother. Again, please drop your link and let everybody know who you are. Please.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Patrick Hickey Jr., and I am the author of the Minds Behind the Games book series. I'm also the editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com. Huge wrestling fan. What I do is I write about video game history, and I do it in a way that is as void of my opinion as possible. I allow the developers of these games to tell their story. No one gives a shit what I think in terms of like what the greatest video game is of all time. So my books aren't written like that. My books allow these people to tell their stories. Um, if you guys read any of my wrestling stuff, it's the same exact way. I don't talk about like, oh, this match sucked, blah, blah, blah. I talk about this is who won, this is how they won. So this way you could go to the site, reviewfix.com, and you could get a quick, this is what happened, and then you come up with your own conclusion. I want people to have their own opinions. I don't want to push people to feel a certain way about anybody. So that's kind of how my writing style is. That's how my journalistic style is. So at the end of the day, I'm just trying to tell stories. I'm trying to allow people to tell stories. The last thing I'll say really quick is like pro wrestling is different. If you see your favorite wrestler out in Starbucks, you're gonna notice him right away. You
Yes.
know, you're gonna be like, yo, you're even gonna like hear their music in your head. If Randy Orton walks into Starbucks, you're gonna be like, yo, and you're gonna hear his music in your head. If you go into Starbucks and the creator of NBA Jam is sitting right next to you. That's a game that made $1 billion in the arcade its first year.
Yeah.
That's a game we all played. Boom shakalaka. We love that game, right? That guy could be sitting right next to you, and you have no idea who he is. You don't even know his name, and
Yeah.
that shit's a problem because the video game industry is the highest grossing form of pop culture in the entire world. Makes more money than movies, wrestling, comic book stuff. I'm a super duper geek. Engage with me, have conversation with me. I love that stuff. Check out my work, reviewfix.com. Go to my official site, patrickhickeyjr.com. Check out my books and start the conversation because I don't want it to end.
Speaking of conversation, I'm gonna need you to call in one time on us when we record on Tuesdays, because that
Sure,
would be dope, man. So
I'm down.
again, we record from 1 to 4 on Tuesdays. So if you so happen to be on, I need you
Sure,
to call in because this would also be awesome. It would also be great, man.
I'm down. I'm down, man. Absolutely.
My brother, thank you for the opportunity. This episode again will be up on all sorts of our platforms. Love is love. You stay up and stay safe, brother.
Take care.